do it because somebody is in the viewer thing in there. Okay, now we are live. Yes, get yourselves situated, Nancy. Thank you. All right, and here we go in 3, 2, 1.
Hello? Are you ready? Yes. Then we'll begin.
It's a big week for Catholics this week, and we're going to talk about everything from the Pope to Colbert. Welcome to Monday Morning Catholic, episode number 88.
6:30 Monday morning, I'm here hiding in my bed. A song plays on my alarm clock as I cover up my head. Somewhere in the distance, I remember yesterday.
Yes. And if it's Monday, I'm on day 2 of my 10-day faith formation bender. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to another edition of the Monday Morning Catholic Podcast. I am your host and moderator, Joanne Mercier. I forgot to say that last week in hearing the podcast back. I was like, oh my goodness, I didn't even introduce me. So that is a very bad thing. I'm your host and moderator, Joanne Mercier, Director of Faith Formation at Saints Martha and Mary Parish in Lakeville. And hail, hail, the gang's all here. And I was waiting to do the new music. He has returned from a week visiting the land of the mouse, and I think he just froze, so we may have to move right now. There he is. He's back, I think. Steve Romano. Good morning, Steve. How you doing?
I'm doing good. A little bit tired from my vacation, believe it or not.
Yes, you just got off. You just finished flying, and boy, are your arms tired. Yes,
that's
I know
right.
that. Oh, and in the center square there, we have Nancy Smith. Good morning, Nancy. How you doing?
Good morning, Joanne. Good morning, everybody. Hanging in there. Nap time's right around the corner.
Time's around the corner. Remember, they hear and watch this on Monday, so they think we're wide awake.
Oh, I'm wide awake.
Yeah, really. And that one laughing over on the left there, if you're watching us, is Linda Reed. Good morning, Linda. How you doing?
Good morning. How are you?
Oh, we're all fine. Those of you who do watch this and listen to us a lot know that we do record on Sunday. So it is afternoon, actually, although we pretend a lot.
Yes.
Most of us are exhausted.
Yes.
So, because we've been out all day.
We've been out all morning doing our thing.
Yes, we've been up early. Well,
Yes.
Steve, you traveled the farthest to get here. How was the land of the Misney, as I'll call it, the Mickey
Disney.
It was a magical week.
Yeah.
That is the perfect thing to say.
It was a good time. My in-laws have the Disney Vacation Club. They're Vacation Club members, and they invited us to go with them. So we stayed at Saratoga Springs. It was a nice place. And if none of you have been to Disney in a while or ever, you should go because you'll be astounded at what a operation all that is.
Wow.
Did you get a chance, because I don't know if they still do it, to take the tour underneath Disney?
No. We were only in Disney, the Magic Kingdom, one day.
Okay.
We were in Epcot one day. We were in Animal Kingdom one day. We went to Downtown Disney 2 different days.
Mm-hmm.
One day we just vegged by the pool.
There you go.
Always a good thing. Always a good thing.
Yeah, and the pool had these really cool like fountain shooter type things. So I was under that the whole time.
It was warm down there, I take it.
It was very warm, very, very humid, very warm. It rained almost every day, as it does in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm astounded at the sheer number of people. Still, and everyone that works at the park said this is their quiet time.
Gee.
But I mean, you know, like for me, I call myself fluffy. I'm a bigger guy, you know.
Yes.
And crowds don't bother me, but when you can't walk 5 feet without bumping into somebody, it just, I don't find that enjoyable.
Well, aren't these kids all supposed to be in school?
Right. And so at like one point,
Sure.
At one point I said to Beth, I'm done. So we got back on one of the buses, and it took us back to the resort. So, you know, I understand that, you know, everyone wants to be there and have a good time, but when you can't move, that to me, it just ruins it. I said to one of the ladies, I said, you people should have a day, like a children-free day.
Yeah.
And she just looked at me, and
like you've never heard that request before.
Yeah, it's just but overall it was a good time. But I'm happy to be back.
Well, I'll tell you, Kevin and I went to Disney in 1992, and we went in October, so that was a perfect time to go because, you know, it's cooler here. It's not as hot down there. It did rain like 2 or 3 days while we were down there, in the middle of the day, of course. Then it goes away, which is really strange. And you know, it was really nice. We didn't have the mega large crowds, but they were large. The place was never empty. That's for sure. But the one as you were there last week, I guess something came across that there was a fire in the Norway exhibit, and I was so sad because that was my favorite exhibit when I was there the last time. I had to go twice to the Norway exhibit because it was so cool.
Are you talking about in Epcot?
Yes.
We were then. The fire must have been after we were there because I bought cologne in Norway.
Oh, nice.
So it was fine then when you were there. There was something overheated in the back. Probably didn't disturb the front end, other than they had to, you know, get everybody out just to make sure. Yeah. But I just thought Norway was the coolest. And I had to go on the ride twice, and we had to eat there twice because it.
You know what, Joanne? The ride was closed. I wonder if it was something to do with the ride.
Oh.
Maybe, because I think that was really cool.
Yeah.
The only thing I remember is I really liked Norway. Not that I didn't like the other countries, but something about Norway.
You'll have to wear your cologne to our next meeting.
Oh, it's very good.
Yeah, well, I can't smell over the computer, you know.
Yeah, we don't have Disney here, folks, so it didn't happen. Sorry. Anyway, so the rest of us did not go anywhere last week.
No, we held down the fort. The girl I work with and her family went down, so everybody was down there.
Yeah, so you held down the fort, and everybody started rehearsals this week.
Yes.
How'd you do?
We did great. We did really great. I just got one new alto, and I had my my alternate piano player back. Julie played today.
Yay! Good.
Really, yeah, it was really nice. She said, "Now Julie had played keyboard for me for years, and she has a 2-year-old now, but she hasn't really played on a regular basis since Addie was born." So she came up to me 2 weeks ago after a particularly harrowing mass attendance with the toddler, and she said, "I know where you're going." Yeah.
There you go.
Said, "You think I think I'd like to play?" She said, "It's much less stressful than having to deal with Addie all through mass."
I love it.
She played today.
I'm glad you have somebody again, because it will be a long time before you see me again.
Yay.
Schedule runs.
Well, what are you going to do?
The food pantry will see me more than you will, probably. But they're on Tuesdays, so that's I can actually help them there. And how was your first rehearsal, Steve?
I haven't had one yet.
You still haven't had it, but you had one this week.
No, we start. I start this week, but I've picked up like 6 new people.
Yay!
Good. Excellent.
That's very good indeed. Like to hear that.
There'll be people who are on the same page as you, probably.
So I anticipate about 24, 25.
Well, you already have more than I do.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's good. That's really
Go.
That's super.
Yeah.
Wow, this is great news.
He's a star.
All right. Well, you're going to have to tell us next week how it goes.
Yes.
We're going to want to hear this. And Nancy, everything well down in Tiverton Land?
Yeah, we don't stop through the summer. We just bring it to a lower key. And but half of my people were away on vacation this week, so trying to gear up has been a little hard. So hopefully we've got this week off and start again.
September vacation does not compute with me. Not as a musician, not as a DRE. It is never computed with me.
So yeah, it's been a tough week. Everywhere I turn around, people are down in Mickey Land.
Yeah.
So
it is. And I don't have anything for Mickey Land on here, darn.
Well, we don't have to deal with that. Fortunately, we don't have to.
soon.
I don't have it.
That's what they play on the bus. The Magic Express as it brings you back to the airport.
Oh, jeez.
Don't tell me. Do they play It's a Small World?
Yeah.
No, but they have, all these buses now that they call them the Disney Magic Express buses. And that's how you get around. You don't really need to rent a car.
Yeah, I remember that.
And they have videos now on the buses. So when you come in, they entertain. It's mostly Disney trivia, an inside look at all the artistry of all the characters. But on the way back, the last thing they play, as you pull into the airport, is the Mickey song. So.
Since I've had enough of the mouse at this point,
yes.
we're gonna move on because we don't just talk about Mickey here or anything else. We are here every week, sort of to take a look back at stuff. Thus, our name Monday Morning Catholic. We sort of do commentaries on what has been. So this week's has been is going to be of course, homilies and the readings that we heard at Mass. But we also talk about other things, and we will talk about the Pope's visit, because that's a big thing in the making as we go on with this week. And we will talk about what you all want to talk about in Voice of the People. And I will find that clip, Linda, because when you said that, I don't want to say any more, but when you said that last week, I said I have to do that. And, of course, I haven't had 2 seconds to do it.
No.
But I will come up with it. And we will talk about what the Voice of the People have had to say this week. But, I've asked for it, and they certainly have been coming through with it.
Yeah.
We have feedback. So, we're going to be looking on your side of the world. And, of course, it comes from one of my sides of the world, Lakeville. And Bernadette in Lakeville last week was there for the homily, and we, my poor pastor still does not have a replacement for his pastoral, parochial vicar or assistant or whatever you want to call them. And so we have a lot more rent-a-priests, as I like to call them. And this was one of our regular gentleman who does help us, Father Bill Kreml. And Bernadette basically stole the homily off the pulpit, off the hambo.
I've done that before.
Right.
Let's hope he doesn't need it anymore.
She made sure of that, and gave it to me and said, this is my feedback. So, Bernadette, this is your feedback. Okay?
Thank you, Bernadette.
Thank you, because we're a little shy on homilies this week, as we'll go continuing on to tell you. But this is, remember now, for last week where we were talking about taking up the cross. Okay? So I'm going to I may either read very fast or kind of cut it down a little, because it's 3 pages long.
It's very long, yes.
We love our feedback, and I'm never going to complain. That's why I'm going to do it. Here it is for the 24th Sunday of Ordinary Time at St. Martha and Mary in Lakeville. Whoever wishes to be my disciple must deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me. Today, Jesus is telling us to take up a real cross, perhaps a heavy, burdensome cross. So what cross is Jesus talking about? Many of us bear a cross of physical suffering, cancer and its treatment, heart and lung disease, debilitating effects of arthritis, back, hip, knee, and shoulder pain. This bodily discomfort is a kind of cross, but it's not what Jesus is talking about. Many of us bear the cross of conflict and struggle in our relationships between husband and wife, parent and child, employer and employee, between friends, neighbors, fellow parishioners. I think some of the marriages I know of, the relationship has cooled off, leading to a breakdown in communication, creating an attitude of indifference and unresponsiveness, even leading to infidelity and separation. These struggles are a kind of cross, but they're not the cross that Jesus is talking about. Special mention must be made of those spouses who are enduring physical or verbal abuse. And of course, he goes on to say, you know, if a counselor at a shelter for battered women reported that many of these women think that the abuse they have endured is the cross they're meant to bear. Abuse is not a cross to be borne, but a sickness to be avoided. If you're being abused, get out. Mm-hmm. Other crosses which people may carry in today's society are unemployment, financial setbacks, housing issues, or an uncertain future. This is tough stuff to be sure, but it's not the cross that Jesus is talking about. So what is that cross that Jesus is asking us to carry? Barbara Reed, a professor of New Testament at the Catholic Theological Union in Chicago, explains the meaning of Jesus' words. He is speaking to his disciples about the suffering that is likely to befall a person for being his follower. In other words, if you follow his way of love and life, you will suffer. Love one another as I love, Jesus tells us. Love your enemies, forgive without limit, embrace a simple lifestyle, reject violence, seek reconciliation and peace. If we embrace these Christ-centered values, we will suffer misunderstanding. We will be criticized and hated. We may even be called un-American or traitors, for example, if we publicly protest some decision of our government. The prophet Isaiah spoke of God's truth, and as the first reading tells us, he was beaten, spit upon, and suffered all sorts of indignities. The same thing happened to the apostles and the early Christians. Just think of all the hardship that St. Paul endured for preaching the gospel. I think of the parents who warned their daughter that if she lived with a fiancé before marriage, they would not contribute a penny towards the wedding. You can imagine what tension that caused. I think of a Jesuit priest who preached the gospel of nonviolence right after 9/11. Because of his courageous proclamation of nonviolent love of enemies, he was roundly criticized by some major Jesuit donors. And so, at least partially for that reason, his provincial leader, who's also a brother Jesuit, asked him to leave the province, which had been his home for many years, to find another Jesuit province. Imagine the emotional suffering he must have endured. I didn't even know about that, and I follow Jesuit circles very closely. Father Roland Foley, a noted Catholic biblical scholar, commenting on the gospel, wrote, "Discipleship means accepting the suffering which the following of Christ entails and a willingness to sacrifice human values and interests for the sake of those which are lasting." Now, this priest is retired, so he says, before my retirement, I didn't want to say that, when I was engaged in full-time parish ministry, I would often give a homily at this time of year, speaking about the meaning of Christmas, encouraging people to reject the materialistic celebration of Christ's birth in favor of a simpler, more spiritual observance. I would ask, how would Jesus want us to celebrate his birthday? With hundreds of dollars worth of gifts and decorations, or as a time for sharing our maternal good fortune with the hungry, the homeless, the needy? Can you imagine the reception my suggestion received? Some parishioners protested, "You're trying to ruin our Christmas." And I would answer, "No, I'm trying to promote Christ's way of Christmas." Try making a similar suggestion in your own family. For example, suggest that you take at least half of the money you would spend normally on Christmas and give it to help the Syrian refugees, and see what kind of reception you receive. You may very well learn what it means to take up the cross of Christ. You may suffer the consequences of proclaiming the values of Jesus. So, do you believe that living as a follower of Jesus, translating the words of Jesus into good works, will inevitably result in some suffering? When was the last time you personally suffered the consequences of living your Christian faith? And he closes with two quotes of Chesterton. Of course, the one we all know. The Christian ideal has not been tried and found wanting. It has been found difficult and left untried. That one I know well, but the second one I didn't know. I like getting into hot water. It keeps me clean. I'm going to keep that one in mind. with my track records. I'm going to keep that one in mind.
Yeah.
But that was, I mean, for him to take that and sort of start the build up towards Christmas. It's true. People are out doing the layaways already. People are thinking about it, putting the stuff away. And he's got a point there about, taking some of that money, or at least something, to help these Syrian refugees. But find a reputable, like Catholic Services or something like that. Because I'll tell you, there are people out there who are out to scam you. And don't think that just because they have the name of a church or a Christian organization that they're real. You got to really vet these things out now. But I think that's I feel bad because usually I'll do something with what's the group that does the goats and
the goats?
Yeah,
you buy a goat?
Yeah. The name is escaping me at the moment.
Yeah, I don't know it either.
I usually do that at Christmas time, where I buy a couple of goats and and we'll say to people, instead of giving this present, I've done this. I think I'm going to look for CRS this year for the refugees. They're certainly going to need. I think it came through on CNN, my feed, that the United States is opening up for so many refugees. So all of us are going to do our part. So now I know why she grabbed the homily and handed it to me. I said, "You've got to hear this."
It's an interesting homily because oftentimes we kind of toss it off, and somebody says, "Oh well, I had the flu, and we kind of toss it off and says, "Well, we all have our crosses to bear." But that's it's wonderful to point out that the cross that we have to bear is the censure of the culture.
Yes, I would agree.
That's the cross we have to bear.
That's the one that we have in our time.
Yeah.
That this is what standing up to be a Christian or standing up to be a Catholic, it's messy.
Yeah.
Now, most people will just be quiet. And there are sometimes I do find myself being quiet too, because I've always had a problem over the years answering people. So what do you do for a living?
Yeah.
And it's not that I'm ashamed of what I do for a living. It's how do I explain it in 25 words or less before they give me the boring yawn.
Yeah, well, I always get, what do you do for a living? I'm a pastoral musician. Oh, you play the organ? No, I play the guitar.
Or how about this, Linda? Oh, are you the guy that plays the piano?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Right.
Oh, so you're in CCD. No, CCD hasn't been around since 1969, folks.
Yeah, right. But
it still lives on by name.
Oh gosh, and we try so hard to get rid to.
We're working on it.
We're working on it.
A few weeks ago, Joanne, you'll love this. At the four masses that I play for on the weekends, it was time for faith formation registration.
Yes.
Well, I think our new priest figured out by the third mass that no one knew what faith formation is.
Right.
So finally he just said, "See Sister Dorothy, she's accepting CCD registration."
All right.
And everyone went, "Oh,
okay.
We got to do that."
Yeah.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Yeah, we had first and second grade starting this morning, and I went in to take care of new registrations. Well, we ended up doing much more. And one lady is giving me the registration. I'm so sorry, it's been such a busy week. And I looked at her and I just said, "You've been registering for 2 months." And I think she took offense.
Yeah,
Feel free.
Feel free to take offense.
As
Well,
I
but
say,
thank you. You gave me the
as I say,
Sacramento records
shucky
I
darn.
need.
It's too bad.
No, I've been registering since May. Okay, I had, and I'll, no word of a lie, I had 4 days that they could come and register. I had online registration most of the month of June, July, and August. And I'm still getting emails saying, "When is registration?"
Yeah.
Come on, folks.
Hey.
And yet, when we start this week, my biggest fear is they will just show up on a night that I cannot accommodate them, like Friday, because we're totally full, and I have no more seats and no more room and probably no more pizza, and I will not, I will not sit there and break it and go into, multiplication.
Multiplication of the pizza.
Yeah, we ain't multiplying pizza here. So, and someone will be offended. That was my point. Someone will be offended because I cannot accommodate you at this point.
Yeah.
As much as I would love to, and we're called to always, invite everybody in, but what?
Yeah, but you've been inviting them for 4 months, Joanne.
Yeah. And that's where I try to go to the parable of the king. The one that sent out the invitations and nobody wanted to come.
Right.
And got everybody else to come and sit in their seats. That's the one I'm going for.
And then you guys are showing up without a wedding garment. Hey,
Hey, I'll see you out. And we're doing the Bible this year, so this will pray for me, because this is going to be really good. I could go off on that tangent, but I won't. So here we go. We're going to run into this week's scriptures.
Do you hear what I hear?
Do you hear what I hear for the 25th Sunday in Ordinary Time? Can you believe this year is flying by?
I know. Oh, my Lord.
I don't want to know. But we're all hearing, unless you've had RCIA, Rite of Christian Initiation of Adults, and you've had any kind of rite of welcoming, rite of acceptance this week, you'll have heard all the same readings as us. Although this week in a lot of places it was Catechetical Sunday, even though Catechetical Sunday gets moved around a little bit.
Yeah, it does. We had it last week.
Yeah, ours was last week, too.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where it kind of gets moved depending on when people want to start. But this week is actual Catechetical Sunday. So we started in the Old Testament with Wisdom, the book of Wisdom, chapter 2. I love the opening line. Let us beset the just one because he is obnoxious.
Yes.
And
there's that cross,
There's that cross
that we're carrying.
But I loved Bishop Barron's homily on this week, because he got right into that about people were saying the person who's always right, the person who's always good, is the one that gets under everybody's skin. So
or thinks they're right or are right.
Well, there's a distinction right there.
Sometimes even if they are right, it gets under everybody's
Absolutely,
skin.
That is true.
Yes, exactly. So I take much comfort in that line.
Yes.
Moving along, we had Psalm 54 this week, which is one that is only used infrequently.
Like once every 3 years.
Yep, it was one of those, the Lord upholds my life, and the only one I can hear in my head is the Haas.
Well, I departed from my usual psalm of the day this week.
Did you really?
I did, and I went with the common psalm suggested, which was 91. Be with me, Lord, when I'm in trouble.
Ah, and which one did we get?
Joncas.
Joncas. Okay.
Yeah.
So
whenever there's a choice, it's usually Michael's.
Okay.
We've been singing that for years, and so it was a gimme. I hardly even had to rehearse it.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it was real. It's one that they know really well.
And when my husband was there at 8:30 in the morning, I'm sure it was easy for him.
I saw him, and he snuck out before I could even say hello.
Oh well, let's saying hello, Kevin. What did everybody else do? RNA?
We used common psalm in the mass that I attended. They used the Psalm of the Day.
Oh.
And I think that he used it was I was never heard the setting, so I could only assume it might have been an RNA type of thing.
Oh.
And he just kept it was repeated 3 times in the refrain.
Okay.
The Lord uphold my life, the Lord uphold my life, the Lord uphold my life. And I'm like, that's it wasn't a favorite.
It was okay.
It was just have a nice melody, sing it once, you're done.
Yeah.
And,
Oh, jeez. Oh, well. And Stephen, still on RNA?
Oh, yes.
Okay. We're gonna buy you either Psalms for the Church Year or Cry Out.
Well, I bought the I have all that stuff.
He has it.
It's whether it's at this point
I'm only on two spokes of the wheel. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I understand.
So I just decided I'm just going to use it for a little bit longer.
Right.
And that's the story with that. So,
Right.
All right. I don't mean to go around and poll everybody, but I do know that some people like to know what others are doing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And it was. I am usually a sum of the day person, but it just, when I saw that 91 was the chosen common psalm, I thought, oh, why go through learning a whole setting that we're going to do once every 3 years?
Right.
I'll do the common psalm.
No, I understand that. James chapter 3, yay, moving along, was our second reading. The line that came out to me was, the fruit of righteousness is sown in peace for those who cultivate peace.
Yeah.
That's a very timely one, especially with the Pope's visit to Cuba.
Yeah.
And especially with him meeting Fidel Castro privately. That, must have been, I'd have loved to have been a fly on the wall for that.
Did he actually meet with them, or was it Raul?
He actually met with them.
Because this morning on the news, they weren't sure who he was going to be seeing. Is all that's so I didn't know.
And the Vatican spokesman came out. See, when you've got the watch, and you've CNN,
I was in the car. Watch wouldn't help me.
Yeah.
It keeps coming up on the watch. Every CNN will show up on my watch, and that's what I read. That Vatican spokesman announced that the Pope had a very friendly and pleasant meeting with Fidel Castro.
Wow.
How old is Fidel Castro?
Older than dirt.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the other piece isn't he ill?
Yeah, I think
he's been ill.
90s or something.
Oh
like,
my God.
He gave over the country to his brother.
His brother, yeah.
He's been so ill.
And the one thing they were saying yesterday on the news was that for his brother Raul to greet the Pope not in military garb. It was huge. Apparently. Now that'd be lost on me because I don't know much about Cuban politics. But for him to be in regular dress,
you don't see it.
Suit and tie. Apparently
doesn't happen.
Almost sort of.
Wow.
So those who you sow peace, and the Pope definitely is cultivating peace at this point. So
definitely.
I love him. And Mark 9, chapter 9, verses 30 to 37. And this is a good one. If anyone wishes to be first, he shall be last. A servant of all. Yeah, that's a tough one. But there were 2 homilies between us this week, and that's fine because we had a very long feedback, and these homilies are, I guess, regular sized. So I will let Linda go first because I wasn't there this week, and I'd love to hear what our pastor had to say.
You were at your own place.
At my own workplace, yes.
Okay, so very out of character. Our pastor has been focusing on the second reading.
Wow.
Yes, he's been doing James for the last couple of weeks, and this is how he starts. I have to admit that for the last couple of weeks, the second reading taken from James has really spoken to me. There is something about his style and his words that hit right to the core. And then he hearkened back to a couple of weeks ago when we had Father Joe Creedon come and do masses, and he said, that the Father Creedon who came to do masses for me, he said, he's the modern day St. James. He just calls it like it is.
That's true.
And he said, today's opening sentence is enough to spend a lifetime thinking about. Beloved, where jealousy and selfish ambition exist, there is order, disorder, and every foul practice.
You.
Yeah. And he said, and yet jealousy and selfishness seem to be as prevalent as ever in our lives. Why is this? And he went on to give some examples. Why do we look at the professional golfer and wonder, why can't I hit a shot like that? And then as an aside, he says, because he practices 14 hours a day and I play twice a year. That's why I can't do that.
There you go.
Easy explanation.
Right. We go to a concert and we listen to an expert pianist or singer, and we say, why can't I do that? I'd like to be able to do that. Why do we look at the beautiful house, car, yard, whatever, next door, and ask, why does it belong to them? Why isn't it mine? Is it interesting to think that we spend more energy and time wishing we had things instead of working for them? It's like the story of Mrs. Vandermeer, who decided to have her portrait painted. She told the artist, paint me with diamond earrings and a diamond tiara with an emerald bracelet and a ruby pendant. But, the artist protested, you're not wearing any of those things. I know, said Mrs. Vandermeer. It's in case I should die before my husband. I'm sure he'd remarry right away, and I want his new wife to go crazy looking for the jewels.
Oh.
Yeah. And of course, everybody had a chuckle. Why is it we spend a lot of our energy and time searching for the, quote, jewelry that is not even there, instead of looking at the blessings God has given to us and sharing them with one another? It's like in the gospel today, the disciples are so preoccupied with what they want out of their relationship with Jesus. Who's going to be the best? Who's going to be the first? With what he can give them, that they don't even seem to be bothered by the fact that he's announcing to them that he's going to suffer and die. What the disciples eventually learned, and it took them a while, was that Jesus chose them because each of them had something to offer others. Instead of worrying about what was in it for them, their lives would end up as being for others. And that is the challenge we are given as well. Jealousy is really a waste of our valuable time. Let us try instead to spend more time on the blessings God has given to us and our willingness to share them with one another, and adopt the sort of the mindset of the child that Jesus upholds in the gospel as being the model for all of us. And he didn't end it with in our daily lives. So
there you go. Boy, second reading and not ending this, in our daily lives. Yes. Wow.
He branched out.
Good for him.
But it was good. It was really good. Good thoughts.
No, I mean there is nothing that says they have to do a gospel, although the gospel is basically where you get your thematic material for the day. But if some of them want to run a commentary on a certain, if you've got James running and you've got thoughts that will, interact with the gospel and
right.
Yeah, that's great.
Exactly what he did.
Because I'll tell you, in going into that, I'll probably talk a lot about this year because our faith formation is requiring us we're teaching them the Bible and trying to get them to understand how to read it. Hopefully, in our helping them learning how to read it, they might start to learn how to listen to it.
Yeah.
Because and I'm going to explain that to them too, that the Bible read and the Bible proclaimed are two different things.
Yeah.
So I just still want to get them to learn, chapter and verse, book, chapter, verse.
Yeah.
See if they can find that stuff.
That's right.
That in the beginning, we're all set. Well, thank you, Linda. I have, again, we had a rent-a-priest, but this rent-a-priest is Father Paul Soper. He is in fact, in charge of pastoral planning for the Archdiocese. And because my boss still doesn't have his parochial vicar, he comes down almost every week to help him out. We had the regional bishop come over and help us out.
Jeez.
We have 8 masses a weekend.
Jeez.
In 3 churches. So we talked about this ad nauseum, I know, but with the way the church is now, but at least we have help. So we're very, very grateful for all of the priests who come, Father Kreml, Father Soper, all of them who show up. But the first thing Father Soper said this morning was he kind of felt bad for the disciples.
Yeah.
Because they got caught. Here Jesus is trying to tell them about the death he's going to die and what's happening. They're arguing about who's going to be first.
Yeah.
And Jesus doesn't chide them, but he tries to teach them. He tries to teach them that they need Jesus, that their greatness does not come from that their greatness comes from surrender. It does not come from skills or how good they are or what kind of stuff they have stored up, whatever. So going back to last week, what's our cross? Oh, what is it? Now Bernadette's handwriting, because she gave me her notes. Thank goodness. Okay. What is our Christ-like way to interact with others? How should we be interacting with others? And we seek to be their servants. This goes back to last week. See, when we interact with other people, what is the first thing you try to do? Do you try to help them? Do you try to be their servant? Or not? Or you're in it for yourself? And then what does he do? He puts a child in front of the disciples. Okay, and we had a couple. There was a family in front of me and in front of him that had twins, and of course the twins were doing what twins do.
Yeah.
Getting really hairy because they're so bored they have no understanding of what's going on. So he said, look at these children right here. He said, they're not going to walk out. They're dependent on their parents. They can't go anywhere, and that's what we have to be. How can we have that same dependence on Jesus as a child would have dependence on its parents? There have been many books written these days. I'm okay. I was waiting for to say I'm okay, you okay. I remember that book from the 70s.
Yeah.
And it just talks about, how we can be, while we are the center of it, we have to, it's all up to us. But Jesus tells us that we need him, that we need to rely on him, depend on him. We are sinners. We need the cross. We can't save ourselves.
Yeah.
Okay? We can't, we're not going to save ourselves by achieving something, by being virtuous even, that we need him. And Father Paul said, if I'm going to die as sinner, I will need him. No other way to do this.
Yeah.
So he says, I don't know where you are in your spiritual life, but I know this. It has to be all about Jesus. You need to fall in love with Jesus more each day. And he asked the congregation, do you love Jesus? Do you pray like you need him? Like he's your only one? And part of what we're doing in the Archdiocese is becoming what's called intentional disciples, meaning
intentional disciples.
Intentional disciples, like the first disciples. We're sort of born into it because we're Catholic and it becomes cultural for us, but not many people understand what it means. So we're kind of going back to, this personal relationship, and I know that sounds very, very Protestant when you use those words, but it's the best way to describe what it's supposed to be. That we have this intentional relationship with Jesus, and that we are then what's supposed to happen, like last week's, second reading, faith and works. We're supposed to go out and be that intentional disciple and let everybody know that we are. And that for Catholics is like a huge paradigm shift.
Yeah.
Absolutely huge, because Catholics are used to, pay, pray, and obey. That's not what this is anymore. And as you all can see, that's not what Francis is calling us to do. Francis wants us out there in the middle of everything. This is all aside. He didn't say all this. I'm saying all this now. And I guess he told a little story that may or may not be part of a legend, but he was saying, there have been many letters in the Bible, and one of them, and these letters are not in the Bible because they're from a man by the name of Ignatius. He was the bishop of Antioch, he said not Loyola, not the Jesuits. And he was arrested, and of course sent to Rome to be fed to the lions. And I cannot remember, he had a nickname. In Greek, Theophotus, or I want to say something like that, which translates to the one God held and carried. And apparently it was legend that he was that little boy that Jesus held in the gospel out to everybody and said, like this child.
Yeah.
You know, and that he ended up serving Jesus, serving his church, and then giving up his life like Jesus did. And that's what we are called to be. We're called to be like that little child who will then grow up and do great things. So that is what he continued to plug into our pastoral plan, because next week it is our parish's turn to hear what the pastoral plan is and to have a town hall meeting. They have town hall meetings where I come from.
All right.
They ask people to stay after Mass, and they say, here's what's going on, and how do you feel about it? So next week I'll be reporting not just the homily, but maybe what they even said. But that's where we are, as in, we see all of these readings now in the coming weeks through that lens of intentional discipleship. And Sherry Waddell has a book, Forming Intentional Disciples. I'll put that in the honorable mention if anybody wants to read it. I've read it. I've got notes on it, highlighted in my Kindle. She really kind of put all this together, and it's becoming the basis of how parishes are moving forward now in the 21st century in the United States. So, and even not just the United States, she goes off all over the world and teaches and shares this. So that's what I had.
Okay.
Gee, you're very relevant for me. So next week, we'll see. I know, and folks, we all go through this. Stephen's just coming back. Nancy's had a heck of a week.
I can surmise in like 5 sentences.
There you go.
Okay, well, let's go for the 5 second.
Go for the 5 sentences.
25 words.
The 9:30 Mass, Father spoke to the kids. He called them up, and they sat in the sanctuary. And he actually brought out a huge flat Francis on a poster board.
Yeah! Oh, good for him.
I dare say that between him and me, or he and I, however it's supposed to be said, we're the likes of nothing that this parish has ever seen. So this is quite interesting.
I guess not.
So I thought it was great. He must have worked it out with the altar servers, because when he turned around and gave them the signal, they immediately got up, went into the sacristy, and brought out this huge flat Francis. And he asked the kids a question. He goes, what does it mean when somebody says that they're great? If somebody goes around and says, I'm great, and he asked the kids, and the first kid raised his hand and he said, they're not so great if they keep going around saying they're great.
There you go.
From the mouths of babes.
Exactly. And I don't know that the kids have ever been called. I don't know, since I'm new to the parish, I don't know if they've ever been invited up like that. So there was quite a big number of kids. And he talked about the Pope's visit, and he worked it into the whole thing about the child mentioned in the reading, But his basic thing was that Pope Francis calls us to be humble and to serve the people of his church, the poor people, and he expounded on that. And music-wise, it worked out well because I did "Blessed Are They," so I was happy.
There you go.
And then he blessed their backpacks.
Oh.
And he gave them all a rosary. He said, "I want you to keep the rosary in your backpack."
What a great idea.
And the funny thing was, he said, if you don't like the color of it, you can swap it out with somebody else after Mass.
Because that's fine with us.
Yeah, we blessed backpacks a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
But I liked how he called the kids up, but the flat Francis thing, everybody was rolling around laughing. So so those are my 5 sentences. So,
Cool. Nancy, you got 5 sentences, or?
What I had was I listened I decided to stay home and watch. I had to go in for a certain amount of time, but I just came home and watched the TV Mass with Ralph. Ralph wasn't feeling too well this morning. So it was as simple as Deacon Bruce Bono.
Yep.
From Fall River, who is the in charge of faith formation in Fall River, was the homilist.
He's the assistant.
Huh? He's the assistant. Okay, but he was the homilist for the Mass, and talking about the little child, and it's at first he said, and children have nothing to offer. I'm thinking to myself, no, that's not true.
Right. But he was making a point.
He was making a point, and the point was, finally, he said, and children come to us with the unconditional love, yada yada. And I'm going, well, that's what you should have said at the beginning. But anyway, talking about the first shall be last shall be first, and talking about the humbleness that we need to have in our faith and in our works and the faith, the humbleness that a child brings usually, not being the one that's trying to grab all the attention, but the child who has an average child mentality coming to us with humbleness, and you strive to be the last because ultimately you will be the first. You are what God is asking you to be. And he mentioned the catechists and being Catechetical Sunday and blessing all of those who nationally and internationally are going to be charged with teaching our children about our faith. And so that was a tie-in with the children and such that he made. Yeah.
Cool. Well, see,
very nice.
We actually had 4 homilies.
Yay!
That works. Now, we would love it if you would send us yours, because feedback seems to be coming, and I'll take, I'll take in all things. So MondayMorningCatholic@gmail.com is our email address. Please, you can send it there. You can put it up on in a comment box at MondayMorningCatholic.net, which no one ever uses. Oh, well. You can put it up on our Facebook page if you are really, really ambitious, facebook.com/MondayMorningCatholic, or you can call us on the voice feedback line, which nobody uses either, 774-955-0659. I'll say it one more time at the end. But we are going to move right along in our last 15 minutes to be able to talk about what's the voice of the people. And, this week it's all about it's friends in low places or high places, depending on how to say it, because we have a very special visitor coming to the United States.
Wow.
Yes, it's not Flat Francis, but actually Pope Francis himself. And seeing the coverage from Cuba, I can just imagine what the coverage is going to be like when he hits the United States. Unfortunately, I'll be getting ready for faith formation at 4 o'clock on Tuesday when it happens, but I'm sure my watch will go off and say the Pope has landed.
Ring the bells. They want everybody to ring the bells for 5 to 10 minutes.
We have put that up on our Facebook page that they want parishes to ring their bells when he lands for about 5 or 10 minutes. So if your neighbors aren't really cranky, you can, at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, folks, come on, you can actually ring them, because that's when he's supposed to land. But it's not just, people are really excited. Even non-Catholics are excited. Yeah. The only thing I get cross with, and which is why I'm going to have to watch the coverage on Catholic TV, is when they start saying things like, when he got off the plane, it was like, oh, his hat just flew off.
Oh, if you're going to do it right. Yeah.
Don't you have a fact checker or a continuity person? It's called a Zucchetto.
Yeah.
Okay. And
doesn't that Zucchetto come with like a safety pin or something?
I'm wondering about Velcro at this point.
Velcro, yeah.
It's coming off his head all the time. So I'm wondering if Velcro might be the answer. But, it's these types of things that I wish they would get the correct Catholic terminology, because he's got the thing this morning was he's going to be addressing the people at 9 o'clock. No, he's celebrating Mass, for God's sake. He's addressing the people.
Not addressing the people.
It's Mass. Good Lord. So I'm probably going to watch Catholic TV. Catholic TV, if it's It's great. It's around the country. If those of you who can't get Catholic TV, EWTN is carrying it. Yes, CNN's covering it. Yes, MSNBC. They're all covering it.
Covering it, yeah.
But truly, the others are just going to have, like I know MSNBC is having Bishop Barron. So I understand, at least you've got somebody there who's Catholic. Yeah. Our friend, the Bishop Christopher Coyne, is going to be on CNN.
Yeah.
CNN, so.
And don't I understand that Sirius Satellite is going to have a channel dedicated?
Sirius Satellite has a channel just dedicated to this, and all of this is because the USCCB, the communications department, of whom Bishop Coyne is the chair, has really tried to do the best job of saturating all this. And last week I talked about the Catholic Church app. You can have that app, and that app is going to be streaming stuff live.
Yeah.
So there is no excuse. I mean, if you want to watch commentary, go right ahead and watch the regular mainstream media. But there are plenty of other places where you can get it either not filtered or with a Catholic slant. So if you are home watching TV, I'd say EWTN or Catholic TV. Of course, Catholic TV is near and dear to my heart because they're right here in Boston. But the apps, the Pope app will also show him live streaming. So there's plenty of live stream on your phone, on your watch, on your you can't do the watch, on your iPads or tablets, whatever.
Joanne ends up after this week, she's cross-eyed trying to watch everything on her.
Yeah.
I will have it like in small places. Oh, that's going on. And I will tell you, when this is all over, true to our Monday morning Catholic tradition of talking about things after the fact, Bishop Coyne has agreed to do a special with us on his impressions of the Pope's visit. We'll try to get some backstage info on about things that went on behind the scenes, his impressions. Did the Pope accomplish his mission here in the United States? We will be having that as a special.
Joanne, I did see this morning that they showed the footage of the plane. I guess he greeted all the media
yes,
that were on the plane.
He does it all the time. It's like they say it's incredible.
But I guess he went to each and every one.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's just like that.
Yeah.
That's who he is. So, and I know CNN's running a special, but the big thing right now, and this was the big voice of the people, 800 and some odd clicks later, was 2 words: Stephen Colbert.
Yeah.
I love that man. And I have watched Colbert. I watched Colbert Report on and off a lot when he was on because of his religious skits. Mm-hmm. The only one doing this kind of stuff. And I realize now that he's on network, he's not going to be able to do things like Yahweh or No Way. It's my favorite skit of his. It was always, is this Yahweh or No Way? He's not going to be able to do that because that will offend people.
Yeah.
He is unabashedly Catholic. Okay, and he's not afraid to bring that to his work.
But it's so refreshing.
It is.
Usually when people are Catholics in this culture, they tend to want to hide it.
Mm-hmm. They do. And I mean, when he was on the Colbert Report, he had Father Jim Martin, who's the editor at large at American Magazine. He was the
chaplain.
He was the chaplain. Yeah. Somebody's already asked him when is he going to be on the Late Show, and he says, well, so he hasn't asked yet. But Thursday night, the 24th of September, which is the day that Pope Francis arrives in New York City, he is going to have an all-Catholic lineup.
Oh, jeez.
So he is having Miami Archbishop Thomas Wensky.
Wow.
Having journalist, activist Maria Shriver.
Oh, wow.
Having comedian Jim Gaffigan.
Oh, I love him.
So we've been promoting here. Yeah. And author Andrew Sullivan. Now, I also heard somewhere that Cardinal Dolan may also show up.
I'll stay up for that. I love Cardinal Dolan.
If you're not staying up, please hit your DVRs. Or go to CBS.com. If you're, I think you can do it on your computer. I know that the app, CBS, the CBS app will allow you to see 5 days of his back show episodes free.
Okay.
So if you miss it, Friday morning, go see it, because that's going to be a heck of a, but he's really not afraid to be who he is as a Catholic. And even to, I mean, if you saw his second or third show, he had Vice President Biden on. And
that was powerful.
I heard that.
He's comical, but at the drop of a hat, he can just turn around and be totally serious and totally genuine. He's absolutely genuine.
Yeah.
And he teaches religious ed. He's very involved.
That was a powerful exchange for a politician.
It was.
Jeez.
It almost made me want to vote for him.
I know.
I'm absolutely furious, and I know the man's politics, and I'm like.
It's a powerful exchange for a politician to do that on national TV, and for the interviewer to be able to pull that out of him.
He's a very intelligent comic.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, he can spout Leviticus.
You can see that.
He just all of a sudden will break in. He was doing some running gag about an evil amulet, and he started talking about Leviticus, and you sit there, and, wow, hold on. He had to have been Jesuit trained, because they're the only ones who can pull stuff like that, like out of nowhere, say something, from like a minor prophet or something, and you sit there and you go, whoa.
Yeah.
So, I love him, and I know I was so glad that people, I guess, have recognized that about him, and his show is doing so far very well.
Yeah.
And we want to continue that, so Catholics, get out there and watch Colbert, because he's going to have everybody on. He's having Donald Trump on 2 days.
Oh, dear Lord.
But I mean, this is it. He's not afraid to sit down with any of them.
Yeah.
I mean, he sat down with Tim Cook from Apple this week and said some really outrageous things to him, like, so is Apple making a car? Now it's been rumored, and of course Tim Cook is looking at him. He's like, no, I've heard about this Apple car. I want to,
I want one.
Joanne, you're going to be the first one to buy it, right?
Right?
Unless it's built by Subaru, absolutely not. I'll just wait for Subaru to put Siri in the car, and it will do eventually. So that's no big deal. Look, Steve, you weren't here last week. I'm not even getting the iPad Pro.
Holy smokes!
Holy smokes! Yeah.
Yeah.
There is a bottom line here.
There is a bottom line until I can figure out whether or not it's good for what I do.
Yeah.
It's not worth it for me to spend $1,000 on something I may never really use. But I will tell people all the time, if that's something you're going to use, then, because it's as big as an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper that you have music on.
Yeah.
Put it on your, on your music rack there, and get your little foot pedal and hit that, and the pages turn.
I just open the Breaking Bread and play from that. I don't deal with all that other sheet music stuff.
Oh, I do. That doesn't mean I read everything on the page, but I do. I want to look like I know what I'm doing. All of the smoke and mirrors, Steve.
Oh, you know what? I'm past the smoke and mirrors. I just open up the book and play from that. So.
Whatever sounds good. Whatever makes sense.
So Catholics, this is a banner week. Wear your gold and white with pride, because he's going to be all over
Joanne, have you found any of the Mass booklets anywhere yet? The PDFs anywhere, or no?
Not yet. I may send a quick email out to the Bish and ask him if they're available.
Oh, I've seen some.
Have you seen some where?
Yeah. Oh, gosh.
Because, Linda, aren't they using one of Michael Jonkis's things as a part of the processional at one of the events?
They're doing Exultate Justi in Philadelphia.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's easy. As for those of you who are watching, you're watching all of us hit Google right now.
Can I go to Google? Okay.
Papal PDFs.
I saw them. I saw the ones for Cuba, and I saw the ones. I think I saw one of the Masses of Philadelphia, but I can't, maybe through Pray Tell.
Maybe
I'll check it out.
I can't remember.
No.
But they're up there somewhere.
Yeah, because I just threw a bunch of them in here, and I just found Cardinal Egan's funeral program.
Oh, jeez.
But that doesn't help me with anything. Download the papal itinerary from the Diocese of Trenton. So, people, at least they're on here. So
here's a good segue. I got a great segue, Joanne.
Okay, to what? To the end of the broadcast?
Yes.
Okay, what?
Somebody just sent me a request for tickets for the concert.
Yay! Before we go, let's have a concert update.
Knows that I love
Okay, concert update.
There's really no update. We just want you to be aware that this concert is taking place. It's three very well-known and very well-respected liturgical composers, Marty Haugen, David Haas, Michael Jonkis. They're going to all three be in concert on October the 16th. It's a Friday night, and it's going to be at St. Gregory's Church in Warwick, Rhode Island. If you live in Connecticut or Massachusetts or anywhere within rock-throwing distance of here, buy a ticket, because you won't be disappointed. Okay. Joanne has the flyer in the notes.
And if this is the first you're hearing about it, it is a benefit concert from the David Haas's Music Ministry Alive, which teaches the next generation of music ministers. We know that is a huge undertaking, and an undertaking well needed.
Well, yeah, and a very real need.
Yes.
So it's two things. It's going to give you an incredibly wonderful evening, and it's going to help the training of young pastoral musicians.
Yes.
Check the show notes. There's an email. Email George, and he'll get you a ticket.
There you go. We'll put that information again this week up on our website, mondaymorningcatholic.net, along with other honorable mention pieces. But again, if you want to send us some feedback, that's a place to go. mondaymorningcatholic@gmail.com is also our email address. facebook.com/mondaymorningcatholic. Thank you for putting Colbert up there for the Voice of the People. We'll see. It's going to end up being something about Francis this week. I have a feeling, because that's all that's going to probably go up there this week is Francis stuff. Or use our voice feedback line, 774-955-0659. Okay, folks, I think it's time for all of us to take a nap.
Yeah,
and I know it's Monday morning when people listen to this, but it's Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
And it's time to take a nap. So I am really glad that the whole gang was here. And I'm really glad I was able to let you guys all know that the bishop will be coming and joining us shortly.
That's grand.
Cap. So, hey, we try. We try awfully hard. But thank you guys for... Oh, geez, I'm hitting the wrong... I'm looking for my turn down the music button here. Let's start that again, because we're just going to do that one more time, because that's the way we roll here. But thank you all for being with us. We ask definitely your prayers this week, not just for the persecuted Christians and the Syrian refugees, but for the Pope's visit. You all know this is a dangerous world.
Mm-hmm.
And we want him safe, and we want his message to get out there, and we want him to get back home. So please pray for our pontiff this week as he travels in our country, and watch as much as you can. I think you'll get real inspired.
Yeah.
So, Nancy Smith, Steve Romano, and myself, Joanne Mercier, thank you for being with us. We'll see you next week. So, ciao for now.